Here's my solution to the challenge of displaying an image of the month. The first thing to do is to get the name of the existing image of tulips from the HTML at the bottom of index.php and then change it. There's the image. It's on line 83. Its name begins with 450_2_tulip. That should be sufficient to find it. So let's go to the images folder, and there it is, 450_2. Yep, that's it. So we need to change that name to special_apr.jpg. And if we now look at our files, our images, we've got 12 images, all of which begin with special underscore followed by the first three letters of the month name. So we can now go back to our editing program, and we need to change the image name here. I'm going to select that, delete it, and insert special underscore, because that's the way that each name begins. And then we have a PHP code block, and we're going to echo the month name. We don't yet have a variable for that, but we'll call it month name. And then the closing PHP tag. It's very important to make sure that there is no space between the underscore and the opening PHP tag and between the closing PHP tag and the period before JPG. If you've got any spaces there, of course, the file name will be broken. So what we need to do is to get the month name. We need to get the first three letters of the month name. I suggested that you use the date function. So let's go to the PHP documentation to see if there's a suitable format to get the first three letters of a month name. Here's the documentation, and if we look at the format characters for month, uppercase M, a short textual representation of a month, 3 letters. The only problem is that it begins with a capital letter. We'll deal with that a little bit later. We need to go back to our code and to decide where we're going to insert the code to generate this month name variable. Now, I'm going to scroll right up to the top of the page. Normally, where I put all of my processing code that's not going to output anything is above the doc type, and that's where I'm going to put it this time. The only caveat is, if you're in the situation where your server hasn't set the time zone and you've needed to set the time zone in pagetop.php, you'll need to put the processing code after you've included pagetop.php. Remember, that's because the date function requires the time zone to be set before you can use it. So if you've needed to use the function date default time zone set in pagetop.php, so let's just put a little comment in there to indicate where the code would need to go. So there's a little indication of where you would need to put the code if you are setting the time zone in pagetop.php. If you're not setting it in pagetop.php, if it's already set in your configuration, you can put the code above the doc type like I'm going to do. So let's just add a PHP block up there. And our variable was, dear oh dear, we've got a little error there. That's the value of having syntax checking on the fly. I'd made my PHP tag the wrong way round. So the variable that we were using was month name. So month name equals date. And then it was a capital M, needs to be a string, so in quotes. And that will give us the first 3 letters of the month. Now what we need to do is we need to convert that to lowercase. Earlier we used string to upper. There's actually another one which is called string to lower, which converts everything to lowercase. So month name equals str2lower, and then the argument will be month name. So what's happening here is that we're first getting the first 3 letters of the month, but the first letter is uppercase, so we then use string to lower to convert it all to lowercase. So if we save that, and then we go to our browser and to the Hansel and Petal homepage, there was the original image. It's tulips, which is April. I'm not recording in April, so let's see what happens when I refresh the page. Some nice new flowers. Not quite sure what they are, but it's certainly a different flower for the month. So that's the solution that I came up with First, I got hold of the month name, the first 3 letters of the month name, using the date function, and then I converted it to lowercase using string to lower. Problem solved.